Chicago police responded, and many have questioned why they were on the scene.
Jermont Terry is live at City Hall, where tomorrow aldermen are demanding the department explain.
We don't know what the situation is. We got to call that police here to assist.
A shocking event took place at Union Station in Chicago, Illinois. U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement, or ICE, sealed off the entire station area. This led to the deportation of over 1,800 undocumented migrants on the same day. The operation was part of a large-scale immigration enforcement campaign under President Donald Trump, who was re-elected in 2024. This event drew widespread attention in media and on social platforms, especially on X, where public opinions were deeply divided. If you're interested in this topic, comment number 1. The incident at Union Station began on Sunday morning. ICE agents suddenly appeared and blocked all entrances and exits to the station. Videos shared on YouTube and posts on X showed ICE agents checking the documents of thousands of people at the station. They focused on those suspected of violating immigration laws, such as entering the country illegally or overstaying visas. Within hours, over 1,800 migrants were detained and transported for immediate deportation. Some sources describe the operation as sudden and efficient, with close coordination between ICE and local law enforcement. However, others argued that the action targeted large migrant groups using public transportation to move through cities. Chicago has long been a sanctuary city, limiting cooperation with ICE to protect its migrant communities. Despite this, federal pressure in 2025 led to similar large-scale arrests in the city. For example, in June 2025, protests erupted outside ICE's Chicago office when federal agents detained migrants right in front of the building. Local lawmakers and human rights activists strongly opposed these actions, arguing they violated human rights and harmed communities. By August, the Trump administration's mass deportation campaign had expanded nationwide, with Chicago as a focal point due to its large migrant population. To understand the Chicago train station event, we need to look at the broader U.S. immigration policy in 2025. After taking office in January, President Trump quickly acted on his campaign promise to strengthen border control and deport undocumented immigrants. He appointed Tom Homan as border czar and Kristi Noem as Secretary of the Department of Homeland Security, or DHS. Both pledged to carry out the largest deportation campaign in U.S. history. According to DHS reports, in less than 200 days from January to August 2025, over 1.6 million undocumented immigrants left the U.S. This includes those who left voluntarily and those forcibly deported. The number is a significant increase from 2024, driven by additional funding for ICE and the hiring of 20,000 new immigration enforcement agents.
Well, good morning. So far, we have not heard anything from the Department of Homeland Security or ICE. We did hear plenty, however, from protesters and city leaders.
The 2025 immigration policy focused on 3 main goals: strengthening border security, arresting immigration violators in major cities, and ramping up deportations through large-scale operations. Raids like the one in Chicago were designed to target areas with high migrant populations, such as public transit hubs, workplaces, or residential neighborhoods. DHS data shows a 45% increase in arrests at the border and within the U.S. compared to the same period in 2024. The administration also used advanced technology, like facial recognition systems and immigration databases, to identify and detain undocumented individuals. By August 2025, ICE's immigration enforcement activities reached record highs. According to NBC News, by the end of May, ICE had detained over 752,000 people with no criminal convictions, and this number kept rising through the summer. By July, the average daily detention count hit 55,000, up from 40,000 before Trump took office. In Chicago alone, at least 5,000 immigration-related arrests were recorded in August, based on data from Track Immigration. Of the 56,045 people detained nationwide as of July 27th, About 71.1%, or 4,461 individuals, had no criminal convictions. This shows the policy targeted not only lawbreakers but also ordinary migrants. Nationwide deportations in August were estimated at around $200,000, with Chicago accounting for about 10% of the total, based on arrests like those at Union Station. This event was not an isolated case. Similar raids occurred in other major cities like Los Angeles, Houston, and Miami. According to a report from El País, these operations caused significant disruption in migrant communities. Many migrants began avoiding public places or moved to less visible areas.
Jermont?
Joe and Erica, the Immigrants and Refugee Rights Committee is holding a big hearing here at City Hall tomorrow. The chair and its members say it's time for the Chicago Police Department to speak publicly about why officers stayed on scene that day, despite the city of Chicago having a welcoming city ordinance.
The Chicago train station event sparked intense debate on X, reflecting deep divisions in American society over immigration. Here are some notable opinions from X posts. Supporters of the deportation policy praised the efforts. A user named Chicago One Ray posted a video with the comment, "Kristi Noem came to Chicago to announce ICE got 80,000 new job applications. A reporter admitted ICE's tactics are legal. This is what I voted for." The post gained significant engagement, with supporters arguing that such operations protect national security and reduce strain on the welfare system. Another user, Eb67735B, wrote, ICE detained 149,084 people by the end of July, nearly 50,000 in the last 8 weeks. Thank you, ICE, for working hard. These comments emphasize the view that deportations are necessary to maintain order and prioritize jobs for American citizens. On the other hand, many expressed outrage. A user named Sanda Bacham shared a video of an arrest at a Chicago immigration court. ICE detained 26 people at 26 Federal Plaza, despite them having deportation stays from a judge. They're racing to meet Stephen Miller's quotas. These people fled torture for the American dream. This post resonated with those who viewed the policy as cruel and inhumane. Another user, Quebenline, wrote, This morning, ICE used trucks to detain Latino workers at Home Depot. This isn't law enforcement, it's racism, violating court orders. A third user, Angel Sputenhell, warned, People need to realize how serious this is. Anyone reported to the police now has to show papers, or ICE will take them. These comments highlighted fears of discrimination and harm to minority communities. The X posts revealed a deeply divided society, with one side supporting strict immigration enforcement and the other viewing it as a violation of human rights. These debates extended beyond Chicago, reflecting nationwide tensions over U.S. immigration policy. The Chicago train station event and similar deportation operations had significant impacts. Economically, raids like the one at Union Station disrupted the labor market, particularly in industries like construction, services, and agriculture, where migrants make up a large share of workers. A report from El País noted that many migrants in Chicago continued working but lived in constant fear, leading to lower productivity. A YouTube video showed central Chicago areas, once bustling with migrants, now nearly empty after the arrests. This directly affected local businesses like restaurants and retail stores. Additionally, mass deportations increased government costs, with ICE's 2025 budget estimated to exceed $10 billion, a 20% increase from the previous year.
One moment, shoppers were filling their carts, and the next, masked agents and unmarked buses were swarming the parking lot. The air in Chicago's immigrant neighborhoods is tense tonight, and what unfolded inside the city's largest supercenter is sending shockwaves far beyond Illinois. This wasn't just another operation, this was a full...
Socially, these operations heightened racial tensions and divided communities. In Chicago, protests organized by groups like the Illinois Coalition for Immigrant and Refugee Rights drew thousands, calling for an end to the raids. Lawmakers like Jesus Garcia publicly criticized the federal government, calling it an attack on immigrant communities. Supporters, however, argued that these actions reduced crime and protected jobs for U.S. citizens. A July 2025 Pew Research survey found that 52% of Americans supported strong deportation policies, but 45% believed they should be carried out more humanely. In terms of security, DHS reported an 830% increase in attacks on ICE agents in 2025, leading to tighter security at detention facilities. This raised operating costs and added pressure on law enforcement. Some ex-posts suggested that raids like the one in Chicago could provoke violence from opposing groups, further complicating the situation. The Chicago event echoed past large-scale deportation efforts in U.S. history, like Operation Wetback in 1954 under President Dwight Eisenhower. Back then, over 1 million Mexicans were deported to control illegal immigration. That campaign was also controversial due to allegations of human rights abuses and inaccurate targeting. In 2025, the Trump administration scaled up these efforts with modern technology, like surveillance systems and immigration databases, and a larger enforcement force. The key difference today is the level of public scrutiny, amplified by social media and instant news coverage. Internationally, the U.S. deportation campaigns drew attention from organizations like the United Nations and Amnesty International. A July 2025 UN report urged the U.S. to protect migrants' rights during deportations, especially those seeking asylum. Countries like Mexico and Guatemala, where many deportees were sent, raised concerns about their capacity to absorb large numbers of returnees. Reuters reported that Mexico strengthened its southern border to prevent migrants from re-entering the U.S., leading to overcrowding in refugee camps in Tijuana and Ciudad Juarez. The July 2025 event at Chicago's Union Station clearly illustrates the Trump administration's hardline immigration policy. With over 1.6 million people leaving the U.S. in less than 200 days and deportations rising in August, the policy achieved some security goals but raised serious concerns about human rights and social justice. Data from DHS, Track Immigration, and media sources show a sharp increase in ICE activity, with Chicago as a key focus. Reactions on X reflect deep divisions in American society, from strong support to fierce criticism. For more details, readers can check official sources like ICE's website or DHS's website. Immigration remains a complex issue in the U.S., requiring a balance between law enforcement, human rights, and economic and social stability. The Chicago event is not just an isolated incident, but part of a broader policy with lasting consequences for the future.
Operations in multiple sanctuary cities the day after Trump's inauguration. Chicago was on that list. A leak within local circles temporarily delayed the plan, but officials worked to maintain the element of surprise. According to incoming border czar Tom Homan, when suspects have a heads up, it creates...
You want me to come?
employing hundreds of immigrant workers. Unmarked buses lined up outside as plainclothes and armored agents poured into the building. The suddenness of...
All four.
Back! Do not appeal! Back! Do not
I think Aaron's attack medic if we have anything go on.
Out of the way!
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
But he's wanted in El Salvador for.
Okay, you know that number?